What's up, you guys? It's the one and only Danni Bee, Oklahoma City's own. And I'm here to tell you to make sure you stay tuned in to O-Face Wrestling. Peace.
That's right. O-Face Wrestling. Listen to the podcast. Listen. They are Dark Side approved. Howden approves it. O-Face Wrestling. I'll be listening. Will you?
Namaste, everybody. It's the Queen Incarnate, the Savage Beauty, the International Face Kicker Sahara 7, and you're watching O-Face Wrestling Podcast.
Hi, I'm MCW Women's Champion Gia Scott, and you're watching O-Face Wrestling.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today on O-Face Wrestling. This is your host JT, and today I am joined by the one and only Danni Bee.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us today, Danni.
Problem.
So I'm really excited to have you on the show. I've been, interested in reaching out to you for like a month, and then, I saw something about you on a wrestling page. I'm like, let me reach out to her now, so I don't forget, because I have that issue all the time. I see someone like I want to reach out to them, I forget, then months go by. So I'm glad, I got this opportunity to reach out to you. So you ready to start this?
Yes.
Sweet. So first question I got for you, I asked everyone, so in general, like what inspired you to start, your journey to becoming a professional wrestler?
Well, I started watching when I was 10 years old, and from like 10 to like 17, it's always just me watching it. Like I never had the thought of me actually doing it, because growing up I was really insecure and overweight, and it wasn't even like a thought like, oh, maybe I can do this. Then once I turned 18 and graduated high school, I felt really lost. And I'm like, what do I want to do? Like I ended up going to college for 6 months, and every time I went to class I was just like, what am I doing here? Then I just sat and thought like what I wanted to do with my life. And I just said, I want to be a professional wrestler. Like me saying that like scared myself, like, whoa, that's such a big dream. Like that's crazy. No way. So I started doing research. I lived in Oklahoma at the time, so I was trying to find schools, like any information that could help me, chase this dream. So I found a really small school, and I started like actually wrestling. I'm just like, this is so unreal. And like, I wanted to do so much more. So I ended up doing the fantasy camp in Houston. So I went to go try out for that, and I won it. And I literally like decided like I quit my job. Like I wanted like wrestling to be my plan A. And I'm like, this is gonna work. So I moved everything and I moved to Houston, and like that's when like reality hit. Like, okay, this is my passion. Like this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, and I'm so in love with it right now.
That's really good, because that's like the most important thing. Like if you're not in love with it, it's kind of like, why are you doing it? I'll be honest with you, like I wish I had that same mindset at your age, because like I was into it, when I was in elementary school. When I got into high school, like all my friends kind of fell out of it, so I just naturally fell out of it too.
Right.
Time I got back into it, I was 20, and I just didn't think about even being a wrestler. And then when I started kind of getting like to the point where I kind of wanted to make wrestling, like a career in some way, shape, or form, like,
right.
I just don't feel like it's worth it, physically and all that. I do have plans, to get into the business some way, shape, or form, but that's just kind of something that will take a few years. But yeah, like you're young. That's definitely something, that's doable right now, especially
right.
All the bumps and the wear and tear it takes in your body. You really don't want to start doing that in, late 20s, early 30s. And then like supposedly like DDP started in his 30s, which is very rare, but
Right. I have to do it. Like I have to start now.
Exactly. Yeah, that is the smartest thing to do. That's what most people do, honestly. But so you said you won in a fantasy camp. So tell me, what exactly is fantasy camp?
Yes. Okay. So is a little wrestling camp that Booker T does like probably every 6 months, and it's like 5 hours of just like conditioning, like push-ups, jumping jacks. Like he doesn't care like if you've never been like active your whole life. He's gonna like push you to see, because that's like a thing. Like this is where people come to see if they really want to do this, and 1 out of 10 people only want to do it because they see wrestling like it's not as easy as it looks on TV. Like this is like real stuff. Like we're doing in-ring work, like roles and all of that. And when I went, I didn't know that he was gonna choose a winner at the end. Like, nobody told me that. So the whole time I'm just like, okay, let me do the best that I can, and that's it. I'm gonna go back to Oklahoma. That's it. So at the end, he was like, I'm gonna pick a boy and a girl for the winner. And he was like, I choose you. And I was like, what? Nobody told me he was gonna be a winner. Like, nobody told me. So I was so shocked in that moment. I was like, oh my God. So it's the winner gets 3 free months. And I'm like, I'm not giving this up. 3 free months with Booker T. Like, you're crazy if you give that up. Like, so I was so grateful for that opportunity and just being blessed with that, because I feel like without that, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I'm very grateful for the fantasy camp.
Oh yeah, it sounds like a lot of work. It sounds more like boot camp and all from what you explained it. So tell me about your experience with working with Booker T. It seems like a lot of wrestlers have went through his schools, and I've heard nothing but good things.
Yes, literally when I was in Oklahoma and I wanted to go out and explore, and Row was literally, reality wrestling was the first school, because it's so many good people that come out of that school. Like, if you go to that school, like, there's like a 90% chance that you're gonna get far. And I was like, I had to take that. It's like they have a good price, they have a different trainer for everything, and I'm just like, this is literally a dream for somebody who's green in the business or wants to start wrestling, because they can help you with anything, like in-ring promos, just anything. So reality of wrestling is really the place to be, really.
Yeah, I mean, considering that, it's ran by Booker T, a legend in the business, it definitely like gives you that like rub in a way. Like, when you try to work for other promotions, it's like, oh hey, you worked for, you train with Booker T, of course, that's gonna, give you that edge over the competition.
Right.
And I want to ask you too, because I know you also trained with Ember Moon and Matthew Palmer. Like, that's really, really cool. I know she started that dojo, kind of within the last year or two. So how was that?
Oh my goodness. I had the opportunity from being at Row. So I be trying to tell people, like, go to Row. You will get so many opportunities, like, seriously. So me and a couple of girls from Row got the chance to go work with her. I think it was January. And my expectations were like so crazy. Like, Ember is such a talented, like, woman in general. Like, she's so nice. Like, soon as we walked in, like, I was just like, wow, oh my goodness, like, you're really like nice in real life. And like, once training started, like, her personality like changed. She was like in drill mode, like 100 push-ups, like, and I love that about her, because like when it's time to come to wrestling, like, she's so serious, and I love that. I love that about her. She's such a hard worker, really.
Yeah, I mean, you got to, like, regardless of how nice you are, if you're training someone, you got to push them. Like, if you're just nice about it, it just ain't gonna work.
Would
But
be like,
yeah, like that was one of the things I was really excited to you about, because she's like my favorite WWE wrestler. And I don't know if you know, but the O-Face, like, we got that name from, her finisher, because her eclipse was called O-Face back in the Indies. How, like you said, Matthew Palmer was a part of it too. Like, tell me about like working with him.
he was more intense than her, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, just them two together, like, you expect to get your butt whooped. Like, you're gonna be working out. Like, there's no breaks. Like, it's grind mode as soon as you walk in there. And I love that. He's really, and he's on to her and she's on to him, and I love that. They're just like, you can tell they just work hard together, and I love that.
Yeah, like, because we our most recent episode of, at this time of recording is, my episode when I feature Matthew Palmer. And when me and my co-host were talking with him, he's so educated, like, in the business, because he's been doing this for like 15 years. Like, like, it was, I learned a lot, like, and I was just like, wow, like, just like, you don't realize a lot of this stuff until you actually talk to him. Because the one thing is, like, I've interviewed a lot of wrestlers from the indies, but there are just certain questions, like, financially, that I don't want to ask. And
Right.
he brought that stuff up, and I'm like, you know what, this makes sense. And because just being a fan, you always wonder, like, certain things, like, how much do they get paid for doing these books?
Yeah.
Like, you hear the stories, but it's like something like, I don't feel comfortable asking people about like how much money they make. And he didn't necessarily say like how much, but he gave us like an example, and I was just like, wow, like, that makes so much sense. Like, and it kind of, wrestlers more so hinge on like their merch selling versus anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, because he kind of used like waiting tables as an example. Like usually servers at restaurants, they get paid like $3 an hour. Their tips are what they rely on the most. So I'm thinking like, okay, like yeah, like so. I mean, he knows what he's talking about. He's been doing this for a while. He's a very nice guy too. Like it was a very fun interview. We
Yes,
ended up.
so working with him, so detailed, like little thought of. I'm like, what? Notice that? Like, I just love working with them. I want to go back so bad because like they will clean you up so nice. Like, oh no, your foot's supposed to be here. Like, I love that about them. I love it.
Exactly. Like the thing is, like I mentioned, like I feel like I'm at that point where I couldn't do it. But if I lived in like, Texas and all, I would actually do it just because I feel like I can work with them very well just because, it's Ember Moon and Matthew. Like I know they're both very nice. I feel like, it would be a fun opportunity if anything. Even if it didn't work out, I think it would just be fun to do.
Yes. Oh, so bad.
So now the next question I got for you is when I was watching some of your work on YouTube because I wanted to see if you had any matches and all. So I noticed you had a match at Ladies Night Out against Promise Braxton.
Yes, yes.
What is so funny about that is I was actually recording with her last night.
Ah!
And now I'm recording you. I thought that was so funny because I was looking it up this morning. I was like, you got to be kidding me. That's funny as heck. Because she also like she was really fun when we were talking. Like she mentioned on Twitter, like it wasn't even like a podcast. It was like, old friends getting together and talking. I was like, she seems like a really nice person too. And I know she's gonna be wrestling in Texas at the Mission Pro Wrestling in September. Which at the time I published this episode, that may happen. I forgot what exactly day it is, but yeah, she's really cool. So tell me about Ladies Night Out because I've heard about it several times. Is it
Ladies Night Out, type of events where it's just all women. And I love going to I'm glad they have, because they have them at Road. They use Road Gym. So I've probably been to like 4 of them. And the energy in there is just so amazing. Like I'm surrounded by so many talented women, and just like each match is just so entertaining because they pair people up, and it's just like, wow, I never would have thought these two could do a match and it'll create this. So I just love being in that environment and working with Ladies Night Out. Oh my goodness, it's just such a good opportunity. And Ladies Night Out, I love it. I love it. I love going to each one. The one that I did was it was the first one with no crowd, and wrestling with no people. Like it's so awkward, but it's just such a different experience, and I was really glad to be a part of that.
Yeah, that's the one thing I noticed. There was no crowd, so I wasn't sure if it was like an actual event or if it was some kind of training or something like that. But yeah, that's the one thing with like the pandemic and all. Like there's either no crowd or a lot of events are starting to do outdoor
Yeah.
shows, which I actually last month I was at New Jersey in an outdoor show, and it's really cool, but it's just not the same as being indoors. You got the mosquitoes biting you, and it's hot out and all that kind of stuff. And especially the wrestlers, like the one wrestler Holiday, she wears the face paint. You get like 5 minutes in the match, it's almost sweated off. But
Oh my goodness.
yeah, that's definitely interesting. I mean, if I were a wrestler, I would kind of prefer that, because I'm very nervous and shy. So there being no crowd, I would probably be a little bit more confident.
Yeah, pros and cons to it for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But then at the same time, it is weird. Like you're used to yelling, cheering, and all that kind of stuff. So
Ace, it's like I have to cheer the crowd, so I'm like, who do I talk to? Like,
especially if you're a heel, because I know you usually taunt the crowd. So it's like there's no one to taunt. So it's kind of like you have to really work with it.
yes, and Promise is a heel. She was talking to me about our match we had. She was like this is low key difficult because it's like we need the crowd. So she was like, we need the crowd so they can hate me. Like there's no crowd, so how am I gonna get people to hate me? So it's like you have to work a different way. Like wrestling is becoming a new form right now with no crowd. You just have to wrestle a different way now.
Exactly, and I feel like it's a good way to kind of evolve the character. And then when you do get a crowd, you can kind of evolve your character a little bit. And I think
Right.
it's definitely interesting. It's forcing the business to change. It's forcing the wrestlers and everything like that. Like me and Promise were talking about, like WWE, for example. Like they're doing all these new creative things to make it work, work around the COVID-19 situation. And
Right.
And it's really cool. Like, we're seeing things that we've never seen before in the business. So it's changing it for, I would say the good, but I wish it wasn't under the circumstance that it is, obviously.
Right. Oh my god. And a
So
lot of people are criticizing WWE just for doing something different, and I like it. I'm like, I want to see new stuff. Like, I enjoy it. Like, give me something else. I love it because they're just trying to work around it. Like, WWE is like, I'm sorry you guys can't be here, but it's like, I like what they're doing. I like what they're doing.
me too. I mean, wrestling, it's been around for so long, it's really hard to do new things. So when you're kind of forced to do it, kind of like in the Attitude Era, like things got really stale by the mid 90s, and they were forced to change because the fans were getting, irritated, the ratings are going down. So this, being a different circumstance, why they have to change, it's cool. I like it. I have no problem with what's going on, especially with the whole like NXT wrestlers in the crowd. I think that's really fun, seeing that too.
Yeah, change is always good. Love change. Everybody needs
to. So the next question I have for you, what wrestlers in the indies that you're looking to work with in the future?
Oh my goodness.
I'm sure there's a lot.
Yes, it is. Well, for one, of course the Road Girls, but I think for me right now, it's a big one, but I'm always a manifester. It's definitely Thunder Rosa. I would love to wrestle her. Like, she is such a ring general, and like when I just watch her wrestle, it seems so natural. Like, she doesn't think about it, and I'm like, I would love to have a match with her. I bet that would be so fun. I love her.
Yeah, she's really nice. I had her on the show back at like the very beginning of interviewing wrestlers, and the crazy thing is, like, one of the girls from WoW, she's the one who reached out to Thunder for me, and Thunder was like my second or third wrestler, so I was still nervous at the time. And then when I started like really researching Thunder Rose, I realized how big of a deal she is, and I'm like, holy smokes, like I got this girl on my show. But she was so nice and sweet, she made it very easy for me, and helped out a lot. Right now I'm, I really want to see what she does with this promotion, like, because at the end of the day, you can't wrestle forever, regardless of how much you want to. So I do like that she's, setting herself up for life after wrestling, and being an all women's wrestling, show that she's having. I'm really excited. I think she'll do a good job. Her along with Robin Reed, it should be fun.
Me too. That she started Mission Pro. Like, she is one of those persons, like, if you hang around her, opportunities are gonna come to you. That's why I love being around her, because I never know what to expect. So she's really a good person.
She is. I definitely want her on the show again. But yeah, she is definitely a really good person. So my last question for you too is, when we were talking through the DMs, you had mentioned that you were a bell girl for Impact. How did that opportunity come up?
Oh my God. Crazy story. Okay, Jerry Bostic he runs a promotion called World Class Wrestling, and usually his promotion and Impact, they come together sometimes and do shows together. So for Slammiversary, they were going to Dallas, so they wanted Jerry's workers to come help with Slammiversary, like help setting the ring up and stuff. So I went with him, and I literally only expected to help with the ring, then just sit and watch the show. And I guess the original bell person didn't show up, so I'm like, they asked me, I'm like, out of everyone here, why would you guys ask me? Y'all know I'm nervous for everything. So, like, just sitting in the corner, I was just so nervous, just ringing the bell. And I'm like, can I test this out? I haven't really rung a bell before. So they out, and it was just so crazy, like, sitting just right. And Tessa Blanchard was there. Like, it was so many good people there, and I was just sitting right there, like, in front of them. So, like, that opportunity, like, just made me open my eyes, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to be here. Like, this is such a great experience, and I was just so happy to be there. Yes, I love it.
Yeah, that seems like really cool. Like, I know a lot of people say, oh, just, you're ringing the bell, but it's like that is part of the show. And like, I would be nervous myself too. It's like, because it seems like such a simple thing, but it's like, if you bang it, I guess, a different way, people are like, what the hell is that person doing? So, I mean, that seems like a really fun opportunity. Was it just that one time?
Yes, and like, Like, I've never been so like focused in watching wrestling because I had to like know when to ring the bell. So like I had to pay attention to each match, like so detailed. Like, okay, is he gonna count 1, 2, 3? Because I didn't know who was gonna win or lose. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
bell. I'm like, okay, up 1, 2, 3, up, no 1, 2. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't even know who's gonna win. So like, I really had to sit there and pay attention. But it was so fun. It was so fun. I loved
Yeah,
it.
I mean, it seems really fun, and that's like the thing too. Like, I would assume the people ringing the bell would know who's gonna win, just in case you mess up, because there may be like a quick, a close 3 count, and you're ringing the bell, and the match is still going on, and like, what the heck is going on here?
It's just up.
Oh man. So I'm gonna add another question in here just because it's actually a new question I've been asking, a lot of the wrestlers. So if you ever, was working with WWE and you had the opportunity to main event WrestleMania and you could pick any wrestler on the planet, who would you want it to be against?
Ooh, Mickey James.
Mickey James.
Yeah,
Wow. That's a good one. She's a legend in the business. I know she because I live in Maryland, she's wrestled for MCW a few times as well. So I mean I hope I can get the opportunity to watch her wrestle. But yeah, her being, a veteran in the ring, it would definitely be beneficial to anyone who's younger. 'Cause
oh yeah.
I hear that all the time, like, you learn a lot from working with the veterans in the ring. I know a lot of people like working with Natty as well. But Mickey James, like, I miss her. She's been out for a while now. I know she wants to come back and have one more run, so hopefully she can get that.
Please, I freaking love her so much. Like, she's the woman who made me want to do this because watching wrestling, seeing somebody that looks like me, short, not the skinny model type, like I love that about her, and she's just so beautiful and talented. I would love to meet her one day, but that would definitely be my WrestleMania match.
Yeah, I think that would be a good one. And like, she's on my bucket list too of wrestlers I want to meet. I think she lives in Virginia, which is close by. So I know she's done, meet and greets in the area. So that's an opportunity I hope I get, myself one day.
Yes, I love it.
But yeah, Danny, that is all the questions that I got for you. So I gotta thank you so much for joining the show. It was definitely really fun.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, it was fun. You being really, new in the business, I definitely would like to do a follow-up interview, down the road, just to kind of talk about your progression and all in the business. That will definitely be something I'll be reaching out to you in the future.
Yes, I would love that for sure.
Absolutely. So, do you want to share any of your social media with the listeners?
Yes, you can find my Instagram at Danni Bee, and it's Danny with the I, Danni Bee OKC, and also my Twitter and my Facebook is just Danny with the I and B with 2 E's.
2 E's. Yeah, make sure you all follow her on all the social media. Same thing with us. Make sure you sub us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thank you all for tuning in. And Danny B, thank you so much again for joining us on O Face Wrestling.
You.
All right, you're welcome. Bye, everyone.